through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him. He's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules. A new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to ditch the rich.
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining me this Friday morning. Hope everyone is having an awesome end of the week. The markets are not having an awesome end to the work week at the moment, so we're going to talk about that. And I'm definitely curious to hear what everyone else's thoughts are on where the markets are sitting as of right now. Very curious to see what folks are thinking. But first off, let's say some good mornings and some happy Fridays. Good morning and happy Friday, Mile High Trish. Thank you, guys. Oh, good morning, Kukla. Good morning. Good morning, Mary Jones. AHD. Grand Rising right back at you, Anthony Liu. Kukla, did you get your hair cut? I did indeed. I did. Finally managed to make one of those appointments happen. And needless to say, it's a little cold now down here. I lost my permanent hat. AHD, I'm curious to see the progression of crypto metal as things move into the future. Absolutely, AHD, absolutely. And that just reminded me of something that I had been doing a whole lot of research on, and we're going to be doing some shows on next week in the form of Kinesis. Kinesis with the addition of all of the tokenized Minter's yields. That's going to be a really interesting conversation. It's going to really show people the blueprint for how the new system is going to work. Those guys, they apparently got the blueprint ahead of time. They've been listening to the channel. And so we're going to be talking about Kinesis money starting next week. Very excited to be doing that one. And absolutely a credit to the community. I know folks had been bringing up Kinesis for a while. I looked into it a long time ago. And there were just certain things that kind of threw me off at that point in time. I felt like there were other companies that were further ahead. Well, that is no longer the case. And so I'm very excited to see the crypto metal progression, AHD. I think it's going to be the real holy cow moment. Gold and silver are going to their true value. I think it's going to be very based around that progression of crypto metal because I think that's what unlocks the true value of gold and silver. I think precious metals essentially are very valuable in the modern world without tokenization. They're about to become infinitely more powerful in a world of real world asset tokenization. So I think that even before tokenization, they're still undervalued. I guess maybe that's the best way of putting it. Even just in that context, they're still undervalued, even even when they were sitting, silver sitting at $120, still, in my opinion, is undervalued before you take into consideration the fundamental change of tokenization. Brooks, how's it going? Neil, howdy, Zester from Graham, North Carolina, buying the XRP dip. Hope you are doing well. I am doing well. Neil, I hope you're doing well also, and I hope you're prepared. I heard that this weekend, North Carolina was set to potentially get hit with another little phase of nasty winter storms. So I hope you're ready for that one. And yeah, when it comes down to it, the dip today was a pretty good one. We'll look at those charts in just a few. Yeah, AHD, interesting to compare DXY to metals and watch the seesaw back and forth. Absolutely. It absolutely is. The market has been and remains in an extreme state of flux. And it's because we've got all of these economies, we've got all of these investors, these financial institutions, we've got all of this history of how these markets work. And we've got these guys that have literally, they've rigged and gamed the system. They are beyond good at utilizing these financial instruments. And somebody changed the game. And so I think we've got a lot of investors, we've got a lot of financial institutions, we've got so many people out there, market participants, that are trying to figure out what game we're playing. What are the rules? Everybody's still out there and playing by basic monopoly rules. And I think that that's part of the reason that we see so many weird things happen in the markets. So many things that don't naturally seem to make logical sense. It's because they do make sense in the context of their logical thesis. In terms of many investors and many of the historical lessons we've been taught about how money works, how markets fluctuate, I think that's part of what's making things so illogical at this point in time, is that no one really knows. No one really knows the right answer. And no one really has some kind of clear playbook. You can't take like the Warren Buffett playbook and just run with it in this modern world anymore because somebody changed the game. But they didn't tell everybody who's playing that the rules changed. So yes, it has been a crazy seesaw. Oh, nice. I love the haircut. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And yes, an important one, guys. Please do remember, content in this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes, not intended to provide financial advice. Please consult with a financial professional before making any investment decisions. A very important one to make certain I don't forget. Oh, thank you, Nature Girl, and good morning to you. Good morning, Richard Crusader. That one, Richard, I don't know if you were trying to make a joke, but Richard Crusader 69, the nickname for Richard, there, Richard, I'm gonna slip up and accidentally say your screen name wrong. I'm sorry, Richard. Thank you so much for joining, but I'm assuming you were trying to leave that joke sitting there. Crazy Chester, I tried to come up with a carpentry joke that would work. I think I nailed it, but nobody saw it. There you go. Kathy Harris, best company in the USA that I can buy Bitcoin and then send internationally. All right, Kathy. Well, I would ask, why are you sending the Bitcoin internationally? The only reason I ask that is because there are some very odd scams out there where they try to get people to buy Bitcoin and then send it out of the country. I don't know if that's the case, but Kathy, I just wanted to ask just to make certain. But otherwise, Kathy, this one is really, there's a lot of options. You can go directly to a centralized exchange like Coinbase, like Gemini, like Kraken, Uphold, etc. Connect, make your purchase of Bitcoin. You may have a slight delay before they let you leave with that Bitcoin, because if you're making a new account or something of that nature, you can also just go through and buy Bitcoin with, say, a debit card or a credit card. You're going to pay far higher fees, but you're going to essentially immediately get your Bitcoin and you can immediately do whatever you want with it. Now, as I said, though, those fees are substantially high. We are talking make $1,000 purchase, you might end up paying $100 in fees, and that's honestly not a joke. And so substantial. But that would be essentially you have multiple options here, Kathy. I would highly recommend saving the money, going through a centralized exchange. Any of them will work, Coinbase, etc., etc. But if this is a real hurry type deal, a MoonPay, or even directly through Ledger, you can actually go directly through and buy crypto directly to your Ledger wallet. Fees are much higher, as we've talked about in the past, but convenience is what you're paying for in that circumstance. You're paying a lot extra for convenience. So I hope that helped, though, Kathy. Yeah, you should be good, though. You should be good on this one. If you've already got an exchange account at a Coinbase or an Uphold, I would just go through there. Brooks, I've been collecting commercial bus bar contacts and dissolving in nitric acid, reclaiming silver. That's awesome, Brooks. That's awesome. I always had a fascination with the idea of a lot of electronic scrap. One that always blows people's minds and that they never think about is how old hard drives work. Old hard drives are actually held together with neodymium magnets. That's what stores your data on an old hard drive. Or not stores it. That's what allows for it to be stored. If you remove those neodymium magnets, those rare earth magnets, you actually wipe the entire hard drive. All the information's gone. But that means that every old hard drive, most of these hard drives are just thrown away, will have multiple neodymium magnets because it has to hold on both sides. And those magnets are going to end up being worth a fortune. Neodymium magnets are a very rare earth mineral. And so there's so many very cool things that are sitting inside of our electronics. And we used minerals and we used elements, we used resources in the past, honestly, in very inefficient ways. We didn't really know the value of a neodymium magnet at that point in time. We just knew it worked. And so, yeah, it's kind of crazy to imagine. Neil, I wonder whether in the future we don't find out that we've been putting, enough of some kind of specific earth mineral inside of some really crazy things. But that's awesome. That's awesome, especially doing the acid bath for cleaning it. Oh, well, the Crazy Chester, Coinbase temporarily unavailable, servers are busy. Well, that's definitely that would definitely make for needing another option. Crypto.com, Kraken, Gemini. Gemini would probably be my number one recommendation in terms of that one. Right now, and with everything Gemini has done, Gemini is very much competing for Zester's number one centralized exchange spot at the moment. And in all honesty, it might have won it. I'm just so used to Coinbase. All right, Richard. Richard. Yeah, I have a feeling you do know what you know what you did. You know what you did. That one is too funny. The first time I read your name, it did not register, and then I looked at it longer, and I was like, I see what Mr. Richard's up to. That's a funny one. Little information on XRP. Actually, Becky, we've got some good ones on XRP today. So let's go ahead, guys, and jump in to our articles for the day, because that's a great segue into some of the things currently going on. Disregard the current page. It's up on the Kinesis page, but let's look at XRP in particular, because price is definitely down right now. So whole market is down at the moment pretty substantially. Bitcoin flirting around 83,000 and XRP sitting at $1.77. Not great. Overall, followed Bitcoin on its collapse, almost identical. 6.4% down for Bitcoin in the past 7 days, 6.8% for XRP in the past 7 days. Pretty darn close on the 24-hour chart. But But well, we've got some very odd things going on in the XRP space, and some very odd things going on the trackers, the ledger. And so whenever we're going through and we're looking at what's happening on the XRP ledger, the blockchain, some very odd things are occurring. XRP open 2026 trading, tight range under $2. However, underlying data suggests high net worth investors are accumulating the token despite the lack of price momentum. Data from on-chain analytics firm Sentiment revealed that the XRP network has added a net 42 millionaire wallets since the start of 2026. These are defined as addresses holding at least 1 million XRP. And so 30 days into the year, essentially over 1 millionaire wallet is being created or has been created every single day since the beginning of the year. And so new people are acquiring very, very large amounts of XRP at this point. Remember, even at $2 an XRP, that would mean it would be at least a $2 million buy-in. Right now, $1.71 million would be the buy-in to be a XRP millionaire. That's a pretty substantial amount of money to throw in. And, well, for probably the far more important and yet odd one at the same time, the XRP charts. XRP long liquidations just topped $70 million as the token retraces back 7%. Is the bull run over? This is in regards to the recent drop. And so that was $70 million of folks that had been liquidated on their XRP longs. But the overall market itself, the XRP chart itself, actually appears to be quite strong at the moment. Chart shared by crypto analysts adds more weight to the current sentiment. It shows XRP moving in a pattern that closely resembles gold's recent breakout. Gold formed a clear staircase move with mild pullbacks followed by tight consolidations and sharp extensions. XRP appears to be following the same rhythm. The token built a rounded bottom over several weeks and then reclaimed support around $1.70 to $1.80. From there, it moved into a clean trend of higher highs and higher lows. This points to a shift from accumulation to expansion. Because the pullbacks remain shallow, buying pressure still looks firm. And so, the analyst described the setup as a mirror of gold's breakout, saying XRP follows gold here. Many fresh new millionaires to be made in the next 3 months. And this overall bullish sentiment maintains or is reinforced when we actually look at the ETFs and what's going on that side. Because yes, while the price of XRP is currently going down, ETF inflows remain positive. And so traditional finance remains to be very, very bullish, remains to be continually buying more every single day than we're seeing any profit taking occur inside of these exchange traded funds. XRP is the only cryptocurrency right now at this point in the year of 2026 that is actually in that situation. All the other cryptocurrencies have seen far more days with outflows than inflows, except for XRP. I know, as we have talked many, many times, all of the positive information in the world means absolutely nothing when the price continues to go down, but XRP remains to be sitting in that very odd position. We continue to receive very, very good news. We continue to see more and more major investors moving into XRP. We continue to see acquisitions. Ripple and its newly acquired software partner, G Treasury, rolled out Ripple Treasury just this week. The system lets corporate finance teams manage cash, stablecoins, and XRP in one place with connections to roughly 13,000 global banks. This announcement was made on the 28th and 29th of January, and it signals a push to speed up settlement, cut currency cost, and free up working capital for global communities. Ripple CEO says he expects wider crypto market to see fresh highs in the year of 2026. Analysts at Standard Charter have issued their own projections, with research outlining possible XRP targets as high as $8 by the end of the year. The market wants to see whether companies will actually use Ripple Treasury at scale and whether RLUSD-based settlement flows will drive steady on-chain activity. Absolutely in agreement here. 2026 is the year of utility. We need to see banks, we need to see retail users, average everyday Americans utilizing these cryptocurrency services. If they're not using the services that the company provides, then the company must not actually be solving a problem that the wider market believes is real or believes is serious enough. And so we need to see it. And that one is that to me is probably one of the largest up in the air parts of the entire conversation, is just how much liquidity flows in to the Ripple Treasury and into RLUSD in the year of 2026. We need to make serious groundwork towards the likes of Tether and USDC in this year. Doesn't mean that RLUSD needs to surpass their market caps, but it definitely needs to close the gap. All right, let's see what questions I missed as I talked XRP there for a second. All right. Oh, man. I see some good ones. Mark's podcast just got over. Yeah, I see folks are coming in. That screen is so red today. That's odd. That's very odd. All right, I assume you're talking about the cryptocurrency charts. That screen is so red today, Mile-Eyed Trish. All right. Gail Christie. Good morning, everyone. Zester, what are your thoughts about the stock market right now? Would you liquidate or hold? It's Friday. Yes, a very happy Friday to you, Gail. And well, that's a very tough one for me. And so your personal situation is going to be separate from mine. Of course, when it comes down to it, I am and have been absolutely terrified of the stock market for the past few years, even during the first Trump administration, where I believe it was heavily inflated, and it has really never been accurate since probably sometime in the 90s. Maybe the stock market valuations were somewhat accurate. And so, in my opinion, Gail, I would not touch the stock market with a 10-foot pole unless I'm specifically targeting something like I'll use GameStop as an example, or mining stocks, because of precious metals. I think that there are still certain publicly traded companies that are not a bad idea to be participating in this modern time. But overall, I'm absolutely terrified, Gail, that any day of the week, many Americans' retirements are going to disappear because they're so heavily invested in the stock market. And so I don't hold money or capital in stocks. I hold a few different like small shares of things, but to even try to place it in to, like a percentage breakdown of the portfolio, it would be an infinitesimally small number. And in all honesty, I would have to go back and try to even find or remember where I have any of those things. I think I got a free stock or two from Robinhood that I never sold, things like that. Things like that. And so, Gail, absolutely, it depends on the situation you're in. I'm not someone who ever had an opportunity to be investing in, say, a 401k or a self-directed IRA, something that would have pushed me into the stock market in that way and would have forced my hand in many ways. I never even had an opportunity to participate. Well, I did, but that seemed like a big old waste of money at the time. And so I may not be the best person to ask, Gail, because I'm particularly biased when it comes down to the stock market. I do plan on being a major participant in the stock market once we actually have some blockchain accounting systems for these corporations. Once we actually have transparency on the numbers and once we have control over inflation. Because I am a strong believer in the value of shareholders. Yep. Well, no, I absolutely. Reno Hightower. At some point, there must be action. The never ending talk is getting old to so many. Do you know what I mean? On the crypto side, and that actually ties me right in to a lot of the articles that I wanted to talk about today, in that we are entering into that phase where folks are tired of waiting. Now, but we have gotten some fairly major developments. And so Washington just gave crypto the green light. Despite some nasty price action, yesterday was a big day for crypto policy in the United States. Two major developments hit Washington yesterday. First, on the regulator side, SEC Chairman Paul Atkins and CFTC Chairman Mike Selig held a joint harmonization event at the CFTC headquarters, officially launching Project Crypto, the most ambitious interagency coordination effort on digital assets in a generation. Atkins says the time is right for retirement plans to including 401ks to include crypto. CFTC chair then laid out aggressive agenda, rules for tokenized collateral, onshoring perpetuals, safe harbors for developers, a new registration category for retail leverage crypto trading, and new prediction markets rulemaking. And then both of these things occurred yesterday. Hours later, the Senate Ag Committee voted 12-1 to advance the crypto market structure bill, marking the furthest this legislation has ever progressed in the Senate. The bill would establish the first comprehensive federal framework defining regulatory jurisdiction between the SEC and CFTC. It still needs to clear the Senate Banking Committee, and it needs to gather Democratic support. But this is a major progress after years of lobbying. The only reason that these things are not passing any faster has been at this point entirely on account of Democrat opposition to the bills. They keep arguing that essentially anything crypto related is just benefiting Trump. They won't have any conversation about the actual legislation. They just hit every single one of these conversations with Orange Man bad, and Orange Man want money, Orange Man steal money, Orange Man bad, and they really cannot progress any further than that. And so that remains a major problem at this point in time. The Democrats can essentially hold up these market bills for a very long time in the Senate if they so choose. But hopefully their voters will hold them accountable for having done so, because this legislation they're holding up is hindering the economic potential of Democratic voters also. All right. With the Ripple versus DOJ lawsuits resolved, I figured XRP would shoot up dramatically. I think that a lot of folks very under the impression that as soon as we got out of these legal issues, it was just going to be immediate. I think that in many ways they took the barrier off the top. You know, they took the cap off. Now it's up to XRP to achieve it, but they no longer have someone trying to intentionally hold them down on that. Yeah, got to stay off the crypto roller coaster. Absolutely. There are times when you just need to step back from it. If you find looking at the charts to be particularly stressful, if you find looking at your portfolio to be particularly stressful, you definitely do need to take that opportunity to just step back. Don't look at it. You can't change the price. You can't change the price. Kathy, family internationally. That's why you were looking to pick up the Bitcoin. Yes. And so, yeah, you would be perfectly set buying that Bitcoin on a Coinbase. Well, not Coinbase, since apparently they're having some server issues right now, but on any centralized exchange, you'd be good to go, Kathy. And then you just make certain they have a wallet address, send a test transaction. Number one rule whenever you send crypto, what do? You send a tiny amount first before you go sending an amount that'll be upsetting to lose. And so, Kathy, once you make that purchase of Bitcoin, get their wallet address and send them $1. And if the dollar shows up, then you've got things set up properly and you've got the address in right and nobody missed anything up, stuff like that. So just make certain you do that extra step, Kathy, to verify that you've copied everything just right. Good morning, Talt va bien. Good morning, good morning. I hope you're having an awesome one. Crazy Chester, Gail Christie, talking to Gail. I'm still in the market, but I've taken out my initial investment and some profit, letting the rest of it ride for now. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very, very good decision. Yes. Did you technically take some exposure off the table? Yes, you did. The price might go up and you might say, well, if I had left it all in, I would have made this much. That is overly optimistic thinking. You are going to be so much more logical, so far more advanced in your trading if you do not have emotions participating. And the best way to get emotions out is to do exactly that, Crazy Chester. And so, absolutely, for those out there, if you have bought crypto and your crypto is up to a degree where you could take out your entire initial investment and you would still have a substantial portion of your original crypto, I promise you, not financial advice, but it absolutely is advice for your sleep and for your anxiety levels. You feel like weightless when you get to look at your portfolio and you get to say, it's all free. Everything in there is free. It really does take a lot of that emotional attachment off. And as soon as that emotion is out of the equation, you're going to do far better. Emotion is not allowed in investing. If you at any point feel any form of emotion when you are investing, you're doing something wrong. And that is, when I say that, I don't mean that it's not going to happen. It is going to happen, but it's absolutely something that when it does occur, you need to take a step back. I have been in that cycle, absolutely, especially with the 2016, 2017 crypto bull run. I was absolutely stuck in that emotional cycle, watching the numbers go up and down and making poor decisions when it came down to when to sell, when to buy, things like that. It is so much easier once you've got that initial out. Yeah. Why is there so much fear about the stock market? Yeah. Well, Reno, I think that really a lot of that is just all around the fact that we're so aware that 2007 and 2008 just didn't fix it. And so many average Americans believe that the stock market matters far more than it does. So many Americans are under the belief that how well the stock market is doing is an indication of how well the economy is doing. And that could not be farther from the truth. The stock market doing well is not an indication that Main Street is doing well. As a matter of fact, the stock market doing particularly well could actually be a negative indicator for how the overall economy is doing, because stock markets and these type of speculative assets, they're being priced more off of the basis of how expensive is money at any point in time, not necessarily the fundamentals of the companies that they're investing in. It's really a matter of how easy is it to acquire money to pump in to this market. And so I understand, though. Absolutely, Reno. It's very frustrating. It's a conversation that seems like it's never going to end. But I think a large part of it is just the fact that we've never really solved the problem. We just keep kicking the can. We just keep kicking that can. And now at this point, we've kicked that can so far down the road, we don't even remember where we started kicking the can from. We don't even remember where it came from. We just know we have a can. Yep. Crazy Chester, biggest driver of the stock market. So the millions of people with 401k similar accounts to put money in the market every month. Yeah, Crazy Chester, and the fake money that essentially gets pumped into the stock market via the banks and financial institutions, the leveraged positions, the money that's not actually there. Because whenever a leveraged position is sitting inside of any market, it may look like there is a lot more capital in the market, but it isn't actually there. It isn't actually there. So yes, absolutely, Crazy Chester, and that's the scariest part. Is the fact that there are so many millions of average everyday people that have been continually keeping this thing afloat. All you've really been doing is making the rich richer. Every time, every single week, every paycheck, every time that money is donated to the stock market, you keep the bubble going. Because the only real money is money that's actually being put in by retail investors. That's real money. It was actually earned. But Becky, welcome, Becky. Becky's new to this. What are the better markets to buy XRP? Do you have a video you've made explaining XRP? Becky, I've got a lot of older videos going into XRP, talking pretty much exclusively about the technology, what it's planning on doing, things of that nature. But I also have a lot of videos, in particular, the recorded videos, where we just talk about exchanges. And that's really the one that you need right now, Becky, on the market question. And so if I were to recommend a market to purchase XRP at, I would recommend Coinbase or Gemini. Coinbase or Gemini are centralized exchanges based in the United States. I would recommend one of them. That's where you're going to buy your XRP. But you've got a very, very, very good mentality here, Becky, because you also asked, what is XRP? And so I highly recommend that you go through and you watch some of those older videos talking about XRP. I know there's some on the channel, but also there are videos from XRP talking about it. And so I would look up just a very short, 10-minute breakdown of what XRP is. It's a consensus blockchain. What's a consensus blockchain? It has extremely low fees. Why does it have extremely low fees? Some of those little basics, just so you kind of understand what you're getting into. And then, Becky, number one rule, always when you're in a situation like this and you're new, you're dipping toes, you're not jumping in. And so, Becky, first things first, start getting an account with someone like Coinbase or Gemini. That way you can start participating. Second one, go out there and learn about the different cryptos you're interested in. You've probably heard a lot about XRP. Definitely get a little understanding. And then when you do start to participate and you do want to spend money, do not go throwing big dollars. You can learn everything about crypto necessary with $10. You don't need 100 to trade crypto. You don't need 100 to swap between wallets and learn how to do everything. You could do it with $1. And so start slow and definitely get yourself a centralized exchange account, get two-factor authentication set up on it. That way you've got that on and off ramp, because that's what a centralized exchange is. Just so you know, Becky, what it really is it's a way station between the blockchain or the new digital economy and the old economy. It's where our two worlds meet. And so essentially you need access to the way station, the gap between the old system and the new system, in order to start participating, in order to move things from the old system to the new one. And so I hope I did not just throw you off and make it sound overly confusing, Becky, because it really isn't. It's one of those things that it's a mirage. Crypto is falsely confusing and falsely difficult. It looks very, very difficult, but it's not. Not once you've gotten through some of the basics. I promise you guys that it will not be once you've gotten through some of them. It's a very, 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 very difficult first hill in the learning process. But after that, it's fairly smooth sailing. Crazy Chester. That is awesome. Crazy Chester has earned 226 XRP so far with the Gemini credit card. That is awesome, Crazy Chester. So that puts you at well, yeah. I mean, you're working towards $500 in free crypto that has already come in from the credit card. That is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I would love to hear how other folks have been doing on that one. How have folks been going on their Gemini card? Because it is. I'm nearing 2,000. I still am going back and forth with Gemini as an update over that announcement I made earlier where I had someone trying to gain access to my Gemini account. I've communicated more with Gemini. Everything is perfectly fine, but my account is still sitting on hold. It should be off in the next day or so. And that means I'll be able to start bringing that screen back up for everybody, and we'll be able to start doing our update again. But nearing 2,000 at this point in time in free money. That's a free retirement plan. And that is so awesome, Crazy Chester. Just think about that one. Think about XRP at, $10. Because that is very, very, very doable. XRP at $10, you made over $2,000 for free. The fact that we're able to earn returns in appreciating assets and cryptocurrencies is so awesome. It is so awesome. It really does start to give you a bit of a teaser of how the new financial system works and how we're finally going to be able to start collecting the interest and the money that we should have been earning our entire lives. And what I mean by that is, when you opened a bank account, you should not have just been paying somebody to store your money. You should have been earning money because your money is earning money. The bank was keeping it all. It's so many other things that are coming along with this. And we finally have the opportunity to get paid our due. And the sad thing is essentially the wealth that is possible for the average everyday person that I think we're going to be able to experience in the coming decades on account of us taking ownership over our own finances, taking ownership over our own wealth. It's sad to think about the past and how many generations lived without that. And it's going to be very important that we, as the generations that finally achieve that goal or finally achieve that benefit, that we make certain that we protect the ever-loving heck out of it so that no generation goes without it. We're going to have quite the responsibility on that side, because things like this, Crazy Chester, we're going to be able to do far more than that. I have a feeling that there are going to be a lot of folks that with just even basic retirements of today are going to find in the new system that they generate so much money off of just interest that they will be able to essentially live off of interest going into the future. Absolutely. Crazycryptonautzester, where are your kitties at? I don't know why I don't have any kitty visits this morning. I don't know what. They must be off sleeping somewhere. Oh, yep. There is a pile of 3 cats sitting on my bed at the moment. All 3 cats are currently having a cat pile nap at the moment. All right. Well, I think we have covered most all of the stories that I wanted to go over today. Only thing that I did want to also talk about And this is because this is one where we're going to be doing this conversation very, very soon. Yes, Crazy Chester, Tommy does. Tommy is an official. Tommy's not going anywhere. Tommy became, as soon as Tommy was just a cat who had never lived with other cats. And so the person who had Tommy just did not know, essentially, that Tommy was missing something in his life. Tommy, for some reason, Tommy was just missing other cats. And now he's the happiest cat in the world. He was always a happy cat. He's never like he wasn't happy and loved. But seeing him with all the other cats and his friends just decided, hey, Tommy just needs to stay here. He's too happy. Far too happy. All right, though. Let's look at Kalshi. These are prediction markets. Kalshi is one of the very, very popular ones. And it's one that I'm going to be looking. I want to look at Gemini's prediction markets. I also want to do some stuff on Kalshi's prediction markets. But it's a very, very interesting social experiment. It's going to become very much the new form of gambling. It is gambling, essentially. But it allows you to make money by essentially betting on anything. Here we go right here. Who will be the first to leave the Trump cabinet? Kristi Noem or Pam Bondi currently appear to be the top choices. Poor Lori Chavez down here not getting any love. And you can buy these options at specific price points. If you are right, you end up essentially winning all the money that was thrown on the other side of the bet through people purchasing out your options. And so we're going to be talking about this one as soon as we can on Gemini. I know I talked about it earlier in the week. I was really hoping we were going to be placing some bets today because I went through on this one and I tried to put together a great way of explaining what prediction markets are doing and how they work. And what I found was that they don't make any sense until you do it. Essentially, my explanation didn't make sense to me. But when you go through and you actually place essentially a prediction bet on these markets, they do tend, it makes a lot more sense. And so while I am not a betting person, not a gambler, we are going to gamble sometime soon on one of these prediction markets. Really more so because of how much easier it makes the process of understanding how they work. Definitely one of those things that just doesn't make sense until you're doing it. I'm certain there's other things. I'm trying to think of an example of something else that, just blows the mind until you try to do it, and then it makes complete sense. And then, of course, for the last one, this will be next week, we're going to be talking about kinesis. Very, 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 very cool conversations I have had over the past few days. I've been talking with Pops a lot about kinesis. Expect to hear some things about them in the near future. Very, very, very cool what is going on that one. Yeah, Trish, very excited about kinesis. I am also. Back in, months ago, had looked at them, had this on the agenda because of people in the community bringing it up. So thank you guys so much for making certain to keep bringing that up about these different things that you're using or these different things you found. It is very, very helpful. And so after more of the dive I did on it, it's going to be a pretty major conversation point for us in the coming weeks because, one, it's an opportunity. It seems to be a lot of the offerings are very, very cool. We could benefit from them, especially in the 0 to retirement challenge. There's a lot of benefits that can be found from kinesis, but also that is going to be my best example for explaining to people the blockchain, digital assets, the conversion to the new financial system. It right now is the best example I found. It's better than Pax Gold. And Pax Gold was previously my best example of really being able to show people, hey, this is how it works. Look, it's real. It already exists. There's billions of dollars in it. This is an even better way of explaining it. So that's why I'm very, very excited for it. Tammy Brewer just sent the lyrics of The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. Gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. That song is, I don't know why it's so catchy. Oh, there's another one, Mile High Trish. I need to talk to you, and we need to talk about that one. Mile High Trish says, I have to say she's still having fun earning sats and playing games. Sats, for those that don't know, that is a abbreviation for Satoshis. Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of the Bitcoin blockchain. Well, in homage to Satoshi, the smallest unit of a Bitcoin, the smallest possible breakdown of a Bitcoin is known as a Satoshi or a sat. And yeah, Mile High Trish, those little games could end up paying a lot more than you imagine. The Bitcoin maxis strongly believe that someday one Satoshi will be worth at least $1. At least. Pamela Plastic, Kenny Rogers' song can be related to some relationships as well. That's what I thought his song was about. I always thought that I always felt like he was having a conversation that was more about political dynamics than it was a real poker table, but I'm not certain. That's one where I guess I never really dug too much into it. I just always just started singing along. It's just too catchy. Mile High Trish, I'm trading my sats for Ethereum and then staking it. Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's even more of a kicker because you get to earn crypto for free and then you get to start earning interest on the crypto that you earned for free. All right. Oh, all right. Yeah, we've got a lot. Looks like I need to do a little research on some of these different games. Maybe we need to have game day one point and see who can set the high score in some of these games that reward you in cryptocurrencies. Yep, spin the wheel of crypto with Zester. Hey, yeah, that's the worry is if I start doing these prediction markets and I get all excited into it, the stream's going to turn into a prediction market gambling channel. We're just gonna sit there and gamble on some of the silly things you're able to gamble on here because on prediction markets you can even make your own. Like if I wanted to just say, hey, I would like to make up a bet and I would like to bet that Andy Scheckman is going to have to donate 3 silver ounces to the swear jar. I could just make that prediction market and we could just bet on it. Every Wednesday stream on Original Mark Z, I could create a little prediction market and I could bet money on how many times Andy Scheckman is going to swear. And we could literally have people make money people lose money because the only way somebody makes money is because somebody else lost it. But we absolutely could. And that might be funny. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to start making little prediction market gambles on, on silly things like that. All right, though, guys. I'm going to go ahead and let everyone get off and enjoy their Friday. I hope everyone is having an amazing, amazing week. Hope everyone has a lot to look forward to this weekend. Definitely, if the charts and the markets, whether it's silver, gold, crypto, or the stock markets, if they're causing you too much stress, too much anxiety, go out there, enjoy some time in nature this weekend. Go for a walk, get away from it. It's always an important one to do. Don't let yourself get emotional with it because then you'll make mistakes. It's not that your emotions are not real and not accurate. It's that we want to avoid them in this space because otherwise we might mess up. But all right, then. All right, guys. Love you all. Thank you so much for joining me this Friday. I will be back again on Monday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you guys there. Peace, everybody.